moment, while he's trying to sign back in, let's go ahead on and the Dallas County Commissioners Court for this. It's definitely not Tuesday. It is the 19th. It's Friday the 19th, 3:30. Dallas County Administration Building. All legal notices have been posted. A quorum is present, and the court is duly called. Can we get a motion to open the court?
So moved.
Second.
Yeah.
Moved by Dr. Garcia, second by Dr. Daniel, that the court be open. Any unreadiness? All those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign of voting.
Aye.
Those who oppose, same sign. I will declare that the court is open. I don't think Officer Williams is in the courtroom. Bailiff, will you please open the court?
Yes, sir. The Dallas County Commissioners Court is now in session for the February 2021 term. The Honorable Commissioner John Wiley Price presiding, and now our invocation.
Okay. And Pastor, did we ever get you?
I am in, if you
Oh,
can hear me.
okay. And I guess our pastor today,
So, Ricky,
Commissioner J.J. Koch. Commissioner?
yes, Pastor Ricky Texada is the senior pastor of Covenant Church. He has served as pastor on staff since 1995. Before coming on staff full-time, he volunteered as youth director for 7 years. In over 25 years of ministry at Covenant Church, he has built a reputation for being a man of prayer, of faithfulness, and of having a deep love for the people. Ricky and his wife Sid were married in 1998. They share a beautiful story of God's restorative power and work in the midst of tragedy. He details the story of God's amazing grace in his book, My Breaking Point, God's Turning Point. Ricky and Sid have 2 sons, Seth and Caleb. Ricky is passionate about people connecting to their purpose and connecting with each other through small groups. He and Sid have been in a small group for over 20 years and attribute much of their longevity and depth in their walk with God to being in a community with other believers. So thank you, Pastor, for delivering the invocation today.
Thank you. We appreciate that. And to the commissioners, thank you for this opportunity to pray. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you today giving you the honor and praise due your name. You are the maker of the heavens and the earth. You are the creator of all humankind. You are the God of mercy, truth, and justice. You are exalted above every living thing, and your rule and reign lasts forever. Your word declares in Proverbs, the 3rd chapter, verses 5 and 6, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. We recognize that all authority comes from you, and we acknowledge that these that serve your people have come to these positions by your will. For your word declares in Romans 13:1, let every soul be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and the authorities that exist are appointed by him. We ask this afternoon that you would grant to this court your spirit of wisdom and knowledge and understanding. We ask that you give them insight, that the decisions they make today will be pleasing in your sight and secure the peace, prosperity, and blessing of the people they serve. We thank you that you give our commissioners an understanding heart, that unity may prevail and bring about outcomes that produce a healthy and whole climate in our communities and the cities they represent. Finally, we ask for your blessing and resource to be released in this region for all the families who are facing COVID, busted water pipes, and limited provisions of food and water. May the goodness in the heart of each of the people in our community be demonstrated in acts of kindness and goodwill as we unite to face all these challenges together. Let us see your hand reaching out to provide, protect, heal, and protect our people in this city. And we thank you for your blessings. And it is in your son, Jesus' name, we pray. Amen.
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 Thank you, Pastor Texada. And thank you, Commissioner Koch, for inviting. Resolutions, and all of them under G, I have reset for a later time because they wanted to be present. Has Judge Jenkins joined us yet? If he has not, let's go to Heart Health Month with Commissioner Teresa Daniels.
Thank you very much. Would like to present this resolution, and I think that there may be two speakers connected to it.
Yes.
And that would be Jenny Ayers and Doug Dunsavage of the American Heart Association.
Right.
Let's see. Be it remembered that whereas recognizing the rise of cardiovascular disease as the world's leading cause of preventable death and disability, and as the global public health crisis of our generation, and supporting the recognition of February 2021 as American Heart Month. And whereas cardiovascular disease affects men, women, and children of every age and race in the United States, between 2006 and 2018, the death rate of cardiovascular disease fell nearly 16%. But cardiovascular disease continues to be the leading cause of death in the United States, taking the lives of over 860,000 individuals in the U.S. in 2017 and accounting in 1 in 3 deaths across the United States. Whereas the burden of chronic disease is high across Dallas County, and targeting factors contributing to hypertension can improve chronic disease rates. Nearly 80,000 Dallas County residents are living with hypertension, and another 41,000 are living with diabetes, according to the 2019 Dallas County Community Health Needs Assessment. And whereas the American Heart Association partners with federally qualified health clinics and clinical teams across Dallas County in areas of highest need, including clinics in Southern, West, and East Dallas, and provides vital blood pressure management equipment and lifestyle instructions. And whereas individuals in the United States have made great progress in reducing the death rate for cardiovascular disease, but this program has been more modest with respect to the death rate for cardiovascular disease in women and minorities. Whereas the global COVID-19 disease pandemic poses significant high risk to individuals with CVD and risk factors, and whereas women from racial and ethnic minority populations, including Black, Hispanic, Asian American, and Native American women, and women from indigenous populations have a greater prevalence of risk factors, are at a higher risk of death from health disease, from heart disease, stroke, and other cardiovascular diseases, but are less likely to know of the risk. And whereas the AHA self-monitoring blood pressure program provides vital blood pressure management equipment and healthy lifestyle instruction to the clinics and charitable clinic patients already threatened by hypertension. Self-monitored blood pressure outside the physician's office helps confirm a diagnosis and manages the condition long-term. This program is being implemented at numerous clinics throughout the county currently. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Dallas County Commissioners Court, in recognition of the importance of the ongoing fight against heart disease and stroke, we hereby proclaim February 2021 to be American Heart Month in Dallas County, and urge all citizens to show their support for the fight against heart disease by commemorating this month as American Heart Month. By increasing awareness, speaking out about heart disease, and empowering others to reduce their risk for cardiovascular diseases, we can save thousands of lives each year, and I so move.
I'll second. Judge?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Do we have any speakers?
Yes, we do. Jenny Ayer, Vice President of Health Strategies for American Heart Association. Is Ms. Ayer with us? There she is. Ms. Ayer?
Ms. Iyer, before you begin, I don't think we've had our bailiff read the rules of the quorum for our public speakers, which is part of our rules here. So can the bailiff quickly read those?
Yes, all Commissioner Court
I don't know
attendees
if
are
he's
hereby advised that
I
this
think
meeting
he
is
may have,
conducted in accordance with the provisions of the Dallas County Code, Section 74-71. Visitors and registered speakers are to preserve order and decorum at all times. Personal, profane, or slanderous remarks are not appropriate and will not be allowed at any time during this public meeting. Any and all applause is to be kept brief in observance of time constraints. Disruptive visitors and the registered speakers may be removed and are subject to the penalties provided in the State of Texas Penal Code, Sections 38.13, 42.01, and 42.05. Registered individual speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes, and the maximum discussion on any one topic is limited to 30 minutes.
okay, Ms. Ayer.
Welcome.
Thank you, Judge Jenkins, Commissioner Daniel, and fellow commissioners of the court. I know this has been an incredibly hard week for so many in our county, so I greatly appreciate your time this afternoon. On behalf of the American Heart Association, it is truly an honor to accept this proclamation from the Dallas County Commissioners Court. We are continually working to further initiatives, programs, and policies to fight cardiovascular disease and stroke in Dallas County and across the country. I wanted to highlight a brief spot of our community, a brief bright spot in our community efforts of the highlighting a partnership with the American Heart Association and the Texas Department of State Health Services, which launched a movement for systemic improvement in hypertension control. This partnership led to the formation of the North Texas Regional Collaborative, which is chaired by Dr. Shauna Nesbitt, Professor and Associate Dean of Student Diversity and Inclusion at UT Southwestern Medical Center. She's also the medical director of the Parkland Hypertension Clinic. This group meets quarterly to address blood pressure strategy in North Texas and how to control it and address it. One key strategy from this group has been the Outpatient Quality Initiative of Target BP, which is another national initiative formed by the American Heart Association and the American Medical Association to address uncontrolled blood pressure. We're incredibly proud of the achievements of this group, and I'm very happy to say that while there is certainly more work to be done, in 2019, the North Texas area had a 78% hypertension control rate in our participating clinics, which far exceeded the goal of a 70% control rate. We're excited about that and excited about the work of this collaborative to come. Judge Jenkins, Commissioner Daniel, and fellow commissioners, thank you again for all that you're doing for this county, especially during these difficult times. The AHA is honored to continue to partner and work with our county to further the mission of the American Heart Association to be a relentless force for a world of longer, healthier lives. Thank you again.
Ms. Ayer, let me just jump real quick. And I appreciate, give my best to Dr. Nesbitt. I know her work in this community and very capable. I guess during this Black History Month, what is interesting to me, and when I read all that Dr. Lewis Sullivan has basically published, former Surgeon General, and all of the periodicals, not that much has changed in terms of the African American community when it comes to hypertension. And I guess I'm a little bit concerned. I'm listening to all of the COVID numbers, and we'll get into this later. Not since World War II, Anglo's life expectancy is 1 year less. I think it's Hispanics are 2 years less, and African Americans are 3 years less. And we continue to talk about, life expectancy. And I guess, I hear the resolutions and I applaud all of that, but what's on the ground that we begin to see different kind of numbers?
Absolutely, Commissioner Price. That is something that the American Heart Association is very well aware of, and I certainly want to address a proclamation internal proclamation that we've made external around structural racism and working as an organization to address the barriers of structural racism that have led to many of the outcomes you're speaking about. Our team, our community impact team in North Texas, is working right now to partner with our federally qualified health centers, our charitable clinics, our cash-only clinics throughout the county to establish hypertension programs. As we know, so many don't even know that they have hypertension. So to control something that you don't know that you even have is an enormous barrier. And so our efforts right now are to establish hypertension programs that will allow for individuals that don't have access to insurance or to care to receive hypertension blood pressure cuffs, self-monitoring blood pressure cuffs that they can take home with them so that they're not relying, as because of COVID, we recognize so many are relying on those in grocery stores or pharmacies that they don't have access to right now and are unable to control hypertension without being able to monitor it. So our hope is to establish these in our federally qualified health centers and other clinical partners so that we can take that first step and then address some of the other barriers that are there that don't allow people to have access to healthy food, which is also an underlying issue of hypertension and being unable to control that. Right now, we're working on establishing 2 clinics these next 4 months that we will be able to equip with self-monitoring blood pressure monitors that we'll be able to have and be able to distribute. And we hope to grow that over the next several years to be able to hopefully have more control in our underserved populations.
Well, then you've already provided a number of kind of a baseline from 2019. So what will you have the metrics then to be able to measure the change to the positive side that these additional clinic programs are going to be having?
I'm sorry, Commissioner Daniel, it was cutting you out. Could you say that one more time?
It's looking at, you've already established metrics starting from 2019. So you should be able to measure, or that's the question. You should be able to measure positive change from working more closely with these clinics, right?
Absolutely. We have several clinics that participate in our outpatient quality programs. Target BP is one. We also have one focused on diabetes and another focused on cholesterol. And we will be able, as we have more clinics join us, to be able to track that change over time.
Well, I know we'll be looking forward to getting those reports. Thank you very much for taking time this afternoon.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
Jet, the next one is Commissioner Daniels.
Yes, Commissioner Daniels, we have your resolution on B.W. Williams.
BJ Williams.
Yeah, it's BJ.
Dr. Daniel, was Doug Dunsavage going to speak on this item?
I don't think he was.
Okay.
But it is with great pride, and you can tell from the number of people who have signed up to speak, that I want to put a little bit of a spotlight on B.J. Williams, the Honorable B.J. Williams. I've known him for, I don't know how many years now, but he has always, and it's always been known by his actions, what he does. So I'm very proud to present the following resolution. Whereas the Dallas County Commissioners Court takes special notice when an individual has given long, faithful public and community service. And whereas the honorable member Williams is a native of Bossier City, Louisiana. He grew up in a neighborhood known as the Village of Tuxedo Junction, where indoor plumbing and water was not made available to residents and was not installed in homes by the city until his junior year in high school. He left his birthplace and has now lived in Oregon with his family since 1971. He's the proud father of one daughter, a local pharmacist. Whereas the Honorable Williams graduated from Bossier Parish Public Schools. Afterward, he continued formal education by obtaining a Bachelor of Science degree at Wiley College in Marshall, Texas, and a Master of Science degree at the Ambridge University of Ireland. He also received a silver and gold certificate from the National League of Cities. And whereas after 57 years of service, BJ retired from the Social Security Administration in 2007. Retiring gave him more time to invest in his community and pursue public service. Since 2020, BJ has served in a variety of positions and organizations, including an unprecedented 8 elected terms as president of the NAACP Garland unit from 1996 to 2010. His service with the Greater Dallas Chamber of Commerce translated into leading the team of Garland community and business leaders to successfully increase opportunities for minorities and women to do contract and vendor business with the city of Garland. He also cultivated leaders of the future by dedicating his time to mentoring high school and elementary school students throughout Garland to the Omega Psi fraternity, of which he's a proud member. He also counts himself among the faithful congregants of Mount Pisgah Missionary Baptist Church. And whereas most recently, the Honorable B.J. Williams was sworn in for another term on the Garland City Council on November 17, 2020, after having served in the same role in the past. And whereas the Honorable B.J. Williams has continuously and diligently contributed to making and maintaining positive changes in its community, no matter what he does or for whom he does it, B.J. Williams does so with integrity and commitment to excellence. Now therefore be it resolved, the Dallas County Commissioners Court does hereby recognize and honor Garland City Council member B.J. Williams for a lifetime of accomplishments and faithful service to his community. And I so move.
I want to second, but Commissioner Cox, since you represent more of Garland than I do, I'll yield.
I proudly second. Thank you. Thanks, sir.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much. And it is with great pride that I talk about the Honorable B.J. Williams, because if you see that something has to be done, he says he just says, let me take care of it, and he does. But I'm not the only person who does this. If you look at our speakers list, we can start anywhere you want to, between the mayor, and I think almost the whole council is here to speak on his behalf and recognize him.
Well, our first speaker on this that was signed up is B.J. Williams, but if your friends would like to speak first, why don't we take Mayor Scott LeMay first, and we'll let B.J. close it out for us. Mayor Scott LeMay. Mayor Scott LeMay. Mayor Scott LeMay. Our next speaker is Ricky McNeil, Garland City Council member. Councilman McNeil. Councilmember McNeil. Councilmember McNeil. Our next speaker is Councilmember Rich Aubin. Councilmember Rich Aubin. Councilmember Rich Aubin. And I realize with the emergency, there are, of course, a lot of people working on a lot of things right now. Our next speaker is Councilmember Deborah Morris. Are you here? Go ahead. Councilmember Deborah Morris. Councilmember Deborah Morris.
Thought we heard her voice.
I'm not seeing a Deborah Morris on here right now.
Well, and now if any of these folks are here and you didn't get your mutes hit fast enough, just let us know and we'll come back. Our next speaker is Councilmember Robert Vera. Councilmember Robert Vera. Councilmember Robert Vera. Our next speaker is Councilmember Jerry Nickerson. Councilmember Jerry Nickerson. Councilmember Jerry Nicholson. And our next speaker is Councilmember Dylan Hendrick. Councilmember Dylan Hendrick. Councilmember Dylan Hendrick. Our next speaker is Robert John Smith. Councilmember Robert John Smith. Councilmember Robert Smith, Councilmember Robert John Smith. And again, I appreciate the great service that BJ has done and the fact that everyone is working so hard on this crisis right now. And our last speaker on this is the man of the hour, BJ Williams. Councilman Williams.
He's working.
He's working too.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that says something about him. That at the time.
He's on by phone apparently.
Yes.
He's on by phone?
Yeah. Because I don't see his name, but he texted.
I see. Well, Councilman, if you'd like to say anything before we move on, go ahead.
Okay, I just sent out requests to everyone on the call that has phones, so he should be able to unmute himself now, so he can probably speak.
Okay.
Okay. Councilmember Williams?
Well.
Yeah. We know that all of these appointments were made on the 12th with the original date time. There's been a little bit of back and forth on that, but that does not diminish what he does, how he does it, the appreciation that all of us feel for the many tasks that he is doing over a very, very long period of time. So I'll be presenting this personally to him at a later.
Well, yes, totally agree. I have the last resolution today.
Wait, we had one more. Oh, I had one more just for you.
Go ahead.
And this was, this is just to read, although I think Jim Schermbeck may be on the call wanted to say something. But this is in recognition of Marcia Jackson. And I know that all of us are familiar with Shingle Mountain, but that's just one of the areas that Ms. Jackson has been involved with in Dallas County. There's going to be a special program, and it's going to be on this coming Sunday, of a documentary that's been made for recognizing what she's done with Shingle Mountain. But let me just read it now, and then we'll be presenting at a later date. Can't remember that whereas Marcia Jackson is a Dallas County native and resident in good standing, and whereas Marcia Jackson and her family are living legacies of a long, proud and distinguished history of Black trial riding clubs and Black cowboy culture in southern Dallas County. And whereas Marcia Jackson has sacrificed countless hours helping North Texas residents in need as a local Red Cross volunteer. And whereas Marcia Jackson is relentless in pursuit of the cleanup of the illegal hazardous waste dump known as Shingle Mountain that first appeared in her backyard without warning in 2017. And whereas Marcia Jackson's efforts have made her a national hero of the environmental justice movement, admired by advocates locally and throughout the United States, and the subject of numerous articles and reports, including the Washington Post and Philadelphia Inquiry. And whereas after years of advocacy and organizing of Marcia Jackson, the Shingle Mountain dump is now being remediated, and the land is plated by the neighborhood for use as a park. And whereas Marcia Jackson has been a steadfast advocate for her Flora Farms community, leading the drafting of first neighborhood plan written by Southern Dallas residents and written in Spanish as well as English. And whereas Marcia Jackson struggled to rebuild her community as featured premiere of the Black Entertainment Network's hour-long documentary series, Disrupt and Dismantle, hosted by Soledad O'Brien, airing nationally on Sunday, February the 21st at 8 p.m., make that February the 20th. And whereas the documentary is only the latest example of how Martha Jackson's dedication to environmental justice has reverberated through the United States. And whereas we privileged like to wish Martha Jackson happy birthday, and she will celebrate that also on February the 22nd, 2021. Now therefore be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court is hereby declare Monday, February the 22nd is Marcia Jackson Day in honor of her fierce commitment to environmental justice and health and for her dedication to her community. And I so move.
And I'll second that, my district and on behalf of Dr. Frederick Douglass Haynes and Vincent Hall, who were very much an integral part of that. And Aaron, if you got somebody down in the courtroom, can you see about Commissioner Daniels' mic? We're having some real difficult time with it. But that's a second, Judge.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Your mic. Yes, some of your mic. Mr. Schimbrick is here, Judge.
Hey, Jim Schoenbeck, how are you, my friend?
Well, probably less busy than y'all are today, and we appreciate your time very much, and I'll try not to take up too much of it. I want to thank Commissioner Daniels and Commissioner Price for sponsoring this resolution and bringing it forward. Marcia did not do this. It's her friends and allies that did do it, and by the way, her birthday is on Monday, the day after this show airs. I'd like to think one of the things that this last week has demonstrated is that despite failure in government, sometimes people have a great way of hacking ways around that failure or making government do things or doing it themselves. And there's no better demonstration of that than Marcia Jackson. What we're seeing now among people neighbor to neighbor and people helping out during the crisis, we see that a lot. That is not an uncommon reaction. And then it flares up, and then in 2 weeks, this crisis will be forgotten and replaced by another crisis. Imagine a crisis that goes on for a year or two or three, and nobody even acknowledges that crisis until a year in. And then even then, it keeps piling up until it's 6 stories high of a problem and a crisis. This is the kind of determination that Marcia Jackson brought to this crisis of hers, is this day in and day out persistence to right a wrong. Another time and place, she would be some kind of biblical prophet with the patience of Job and the righteousness of Amos. She's quite remarkable, and every kind of democracy needs people like her in order for it to work. The documentary is airing on Sunday. We're postponing our little drive-in event at the Texas Theater until next Sunday. We'll have an interview with Marcia and some other things preceding the show. Make it kind of more of a community event. I invite everybody on the court to come down. We'll give you a free spot. There are only 35 places in the little drive-in they have there, and we're going to have a great time, and y'all are all invited. Lastly, I want to say that she didn't ask for this honor, but she has definitely earned it. And so we thank you.
Thank you.
And I just want to add, it's going to be at the Texas Theater, and you just say that it got rescheduled to this coming Sunday, correct?
It was supposed to be this Sunday. There's just no way we thought we could pull that off with things the way they are still unfolding. So we're putting it off till the 28th. The show nationally will air on BET Sunday night. So if you have cable and you get the network, then you can see it then. But we're making it a more of a community event next weekend so that we can all see it, even those of us who don't have cable and so forth.
We can be there. And could you please, Commissioner Daniels, send us all the information and the details? It's right here in Oak Cliff, and I would love to see it. Congratulations to Ms. Jackson and everyone, because it really took a lot of people to be able to take out that shingle mountain, and it was about time. So thank you so much, and very honored to support this resolution as well.
Well, and let me just add, Judge, real quickly here, I think Isabel Wilkerson, again, talks about it in her book, Chas. But, I talked a few minutes ago about hypertension and its impact in terms of the most devastated community. It's the same way with environmental justice. And while, we talk about, Shingle Mountain, it's no different than landfills and any other environmental challenges that we have around this country. The impact people, poor people, and people primarily in African American and Hispanic communities more than any place. And so, you know, we just got to keep saying this because, you know, I mean, we do the resolutions and true, but then it seems that, you know, it's Black Entertainment Television, it's Black History Month, we do it and it moves on. Environmental justice is a challenge in this country, and the lion's share is still disproportionately on poor people, Black people, Hispanic, and people of color.
Definitely like to second your ideas on that, and that's the thing I hats off also to Jim Schoenbeck. And the last 25 years, he has been working in this area, these issues across the board. But today we do want to recognize this very special woman, and visited Single Mountain a couple of times and recognizing the travesty that causes in her neighborhood, in her backyard, that finally it is being addressed. And so we do celebrate in the victories when they do happen, but that does not mean that we stop, because there is still much effort in other locations, but then also making sure that in fact the cleanup of Single Mountain happens, that the park does get created and maintained so that it does not, these kinds of things don't happen again. So thank you, Marcia Jackson, for all you've done. Thank you, Jim Schoenbeck, for coming this afternoon. And I look forward to seeing the documentary with the group on February the 20th. But I'll send out the information to the rest of the court and to those interested. Thank you very much.
There are two more speakers on Marcia Jackson's resolution signed up. The next speaker is Ms. Evelyn Mayo. Ms. Evelyn Mayo. Ms. Evelyn Mayo. The next speaker is Ms. Bonnie Mathias. Ms. Bonnie Mathias. Ms. Bonnie Mathias. And that concludes all the speakers that are signed up on that resolution. I have
Bonnie's here.
final resolution. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Mayo is there.
Yeah, this is
Yes,
Bonnie.
go ahead.
Good afternoon. Thanks so much for giving me this few minutes to appreciate Marcia Jackson. When she came on KNON, the workers beat for the first time about 2 years ago. I knew her from being a CWA member, and she and I immediately teamed up. We got the word out. She has been a tireless force behind that mess. It's just been incredible what she has been able to do and what all of us have been able to do. And by the way, Evelyn Mayo she is there.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. So if Evelyn Mayo would like to speak, go ahead, Ms. Mayo.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Evelyn Mayo. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Apologies, I was having some issues. I just wanted to reiterate my gratitude to you all and to Marcia. I've had the pleasure of knowing her since December 2018, and we've shared wins and losses and frustrations and laughs, and I really do consider her a leader, a community leader, a role model, and a national icon. So I think that, as Commissioner Price said, this is just a recognition of the work that has been done to date, but the beginning of a longer fight that Marcia continues to lead, not only in her neighborhood with the rezoning and hopeful creation of a park in Shingle Mountain Place, but also more broadly in Southern Dallas and communities that face similar conditions. So I'm grateful to you all, and mostly grateful to Marcia. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Evelyn.
Thank you, Ms. Mayo.
All right, I have a final resolution, and it reads as follows. And by the way, it is the final resolution is for our tremendous Dallas County employees of the month. And never have our employees' dedication to public service and, just desire to help their fellow person been more on display than it has in 2020 and 2021. And so the resolution reads as follows. Whereas Dallas County is beginning its 9th year of recognizing key members of our workforce for their outstanding performance in their everyday duties, the Dallas County Employee Recognition Program was established in 2012 to formally salute employees chosen as Employee of the Month and have their names written in the record of Dallas County. Whereas this annual program allows elected officials and department directors to select employees who rise above the challenges of public service and represent the first-class public sector organization we strive to be. And whereas the employees recognized today have been chosen for their hard work and dedication to meeting the demands of their individual positions and the overall strategic plan set each year by the Commissioners Court. And whereas for those who interact with Dallas County, our employees represent who we are as a public entity. Their effort is listed below, of those employees listed below, ensures that the public sees Dallas County at its best. These recognized employees perform above expectation and ensure that Dallas County continues to be a regional leader and the destination of choice for residents and businesses. The Dallas County Employee Recognition Program sets each of them apart as a model employee worthy of this honor. Now therefore be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court does hereby salute Stormy L. Roberts of the Juvenile Department, Tammy Bowen, District Attorney, Trina Crosby, the great Trina Crosby, Criminal Justice, CC Garcia, Tax Office, Daniel Cisneros, District Clerk, Taylor Rabb, Sheriff, Detective Walter Clinton, Sheriff, Brandon Erb, Sheriff, Michael O'Brien, District Attorney, John P. White, District Clerk, Janine Capetillo, Criminal Justice, and Boris Hamilton, County Clerk, for being selected as Employees of the Month and offers best wishes for continued success at Dallas County. And I so move.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, and you said aye. So we're ready to move on to our consent agenda.
Judge, can I just say something on personal privilege? This last weekend, a good friend of ours, Father Stephen Hassel, pastor of All Saints Catholic Church in Fort Worth, passed away. He was a great advocate, a great community leader that worked, with many of us for many, many years. He was 88 years old. He was retired, but nevertheless, his legacy will move on. I will present something to his family this coming Tuesday. I just found out about his passing on Friday afternoon. So I will send it to you colleagues if I can. If not, I will just sign it by myself. But I wanted to put it in the record just in case that we have the opportunity to see each other. Thank you, Judge. He will be missed, a great friend and a great spiritual leader. So thank you.
And Judge, you said consent, you meant presentation.
Yeah, you're right. Yes, you're right, Commissioner. We have presentations first, and the first presentation is from Dallas County Health and Human Services.
Good afternoon. Will you all be showing the slides, or do I need to share my screen, or how does this work?
You need to share your screen.
You have the ability to share your screen now.
Say that again?
You have the ability to share your screen.
Oh, share my screen. Okay. Hold on.
Aaron, it's showing that it's starting to share, but it appears to be stuck.
Can you see it?
No, not yet. There it is.
Now we can.
There it is. Okay.
All right. So again, we still are in the red risk level, but the latest numbers on available ICU beds are here. This is one indicator has been increasing, but still, relatively low numbers. I think yesterday, 29 available ICU beds in Dallas County. But what some of the indicators that have been going down, the emergency department visits, you can see sort of since the first week in January, continuing declines in the number of emergency department visits. Admissions in the prior 24 hours, again, very nice declines that we're seeing in these numbers. Hospital occupancy, the confirmed inpatients, some of these numbers haven't been at this level since I think early November. So this is all very good. Deaths, this is a trailing indicator, and I think today we had something, or today or yesterday, it was like, I think 50 deaths reported.
Yesterday was 50, today is 40.
Yeah, so still very high numbers of deaths, and these are some of the trailing indicators that reflect the high case numbers that we've been having in the prior weeks to this. So vaccine, the allocation that we've been receiving countywide, this is sort of the history by week. You can see how now, we've had now last several weeks, 6 hub sites. We've been in the 43 to 49,000 range with that total of about 344,000 doses that have been allocated to Dallas County since this started, since we started receiving vaccine in December.
Back up. Dr. Wong, this does not tell us, again, I sent you an email.
I was looking for the email. I could not find it this morning, but.
Okay. Because I basically, I asked about the impact. I sent it to all court members as well, but I sent you a copy saying, this really doesn't tell us anything. It tells us that, okay, the 3 hub sites and 6 others, 73, who's got it, and who have they distributed this to? I saw the zip codes, but that does not tell me where this allocation here and what zip codes they are primarily.
And actually, these are on the detailed lists are on the State Health Department website. I could give you a link to those.
Okay.
I was just pulling these numbers and sort of adding up the numbers based on the State Health Department reports of who received it.
But does the map on the next page help in how it's been distributed?
Well, no, this one is actual. Okay, so this is for the people who've signed up for our waiting list.
Yeah, that's just registrants.
I see.
Registrants. So this is by zip code, the distribution of who's registered. It's got since some of the early numbers that we had, it's gotten a little more around Dallas County. We currently have 650,000, so we'll update this. But this was when we had 530,000 registrants, and this is the race ethnicity distribution that we had for the registrants. But this is who.
Dr. Wong, and does this information shows up the call center registrants as well?
It does. So it should reflect everyone who's registering. And, we have, a lot of efforts to continue to get people registered out in the community and with the call center. So these numbers, we're updating. This was actually just done a couple days ago, but we have had, we are up to now 650,000 registrants. So there'd be another, 100,000 that aren't reflected on this. So we'll keep updating these breakdowns on the.
And doctors, we have an idea of how the call center. I look at the email and the information that you sent us, and obviously it was very good for being just the first week, and the ethnic breakdown. So it is working. Is that what you expected? Should we supposed to be doing more? I like the fact that the average waiting was 30 to 1 minute. Is there any data that shows that we're going in the right path? I see one of the zip codes that we've been working on, 75211 already here. It wasn't before. So are we targeting specific areas at all?
I think that there have definitely been various community events targeting specific areas. The phone, and we're working there, to try to get more of the information promoting the phone center availability also.
The answer is no. The answer is no. When you look at these numbers, and that was the design, Dr. Garcia, for us to be able to go into those zip codes that feel that they are hamstrung by technology. 75211 getting 8,000 people. But at the end of the day, we just got through saying we did 344,000. Of course, I know that's doing the duration, but we're still not hitting those zip codes that, again, the majority of this court says has the highest vulnerability.
Well, and Commissioner, what I was trying to get to, I understand what you're saying, and you're right. We haven't done any of the education. We have that item in the agenda today. But since we have a lot of events, I know Tenelle Atkins have some, Casey Thomas have some, I have some, and I'm starting to see a change in color in some of these areas. So I'm optimistic that with the call center, like Dr. Juan is saying, Dr. Juan just say, continue to promote the call center as well as the events of registration that we have been doing is starting to show in some of these maps. And that was my question.
Okay, but I'm telling you that, and again, we have an HHS. Marissa Gonzalez has been doing stuff in DeSoto. Larry Henderson has been doing outreach. I get all of that. I am telling you that at the end of the day, when we still look at the zip codes that the majority of this court said had the highest vulnerability, we still are not penetrating that veil.
Well, definitely.
And that's what they call.
I can see it in the numbers. At 20%. However, the maps are changing. So, I feel optimistic that we're going in the right direction. And yes, Commissioner, I agree with you. Dallas County Health and Human Services staff has done a fabulous job. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Juan.
Thanks. Now, so these are then the recipients, and this is for all providers in Dallas County. So you can see, again, the distribution by zip code. This is when we had 261,000 in the IMTRAC system thus far. And so trying to look at the zip code distribution.
And we just talked about, so where are zip codes 75241 and 75232?
Can you go back?
Probably about 2,000 to 3,000 it's looking like, or maybe 1,000 to 3,000, yeah.
Yeah, but that's,
Before we get to the ones that we're going to target, what is
I'll show you.
What's 052? Where is that?
Which one?
The top one. Is that Oaklawn where all the nurses live?
No, that's Carrollton isn't it?
What are you talking about?
52.
Okay, and then what is 75248?
That's,
2.6%, 6,785.
Yeah, but you're talking about what is
I
it?
want to know what town it is that did that well.
Dallas. 752s are Dallas.
But
Yeah.
where?
North Dallas, let's see.
I cannot see the numbers in the map.
It's north of 635.
Okay.
Madison, it's Dallas,
Okay.
beside Dallas. Dallas.
Yeah, it's still north. And 241 and 232 is not north, and it's predominantly demand community. When I looked at those numbers a few minutes ago, still, I mean, we're on par with the Asian community, and the population, no comparison. In terms,
We're about to address that though on the next slide. So
Sure. Okay. So again, I mean, it's for the actual recipients, we're switching over to the electronic system, so we should have better data on this. There's still a lot of unknowns in the data coming back from the state. This is what it is. It's what is in the system at present. But again, we're trying to work on getting better reporting and actual distribution. So in summary, for Fair Park, we've administered over 52,000 doses, both I think 43,000 first doses, 9,000 second doses. And so what we are doing, we've been notified that FEMA will be one of the 3 sites statewide for the FEMA vaccine distribution, 21,000 doses per week. And the FEMA sites do not have the same restrictions in terms of who receives the vaccine. So we are looking at using the prioritization, again, based on the vulnerability index and proximity index, that data that we've shown before that sort of prioritizes the area deprivation index, which really looks at socioeconomic status, areas with high chronic medical conditions, age, those areas with the higher age groups, and then some of the latest
but why you find that that's the same thing that a majority of this court said 4 weeks ago, correct? That those are basically the same zip codes, correct?
Very similar. And so what we did is we took the 12 of those most highest vulnerability index zip codes and then sorted them of the top 20 and pulled off those that actually then had the highest area deprivation index, which are those top 12 that you see. And then there were 5 of the top economically disadvantaged zip codes. They had previously had high vulnerability index, but because I guess they've actually cooled off a little in the clusters, but have come off that highest list. But we added them in because they have a history of the high activity. So we're talking about adding these top 12 zip codes and then these additional 5 zip codes, 210, 215, 212, 237, and 241. And so those these are the 17 zip codes that we have talked to FEMA. And so we will, for FEMA, those will be where the people invited for the FEMA vaccine will be coming from those zip codes, until we deplete those.
Again, back up. There's the zip codes I just talked about. No.
You want to see the map. Leave it on the map.
Yeah, leave it on the map.
Which one?
No, the map of the 17 zip codes.
This one?
There you go. Okay. Again, the majority of those zip codes are what a month ago a majority of this court said were the impacted high impacted vulnerability zip codes. And there's your 75, 241 in there. There's your I didn't see
They're all, Commissioner, they're all in there. We
Plus 5 more.
negotiations with FEMA that they'd all be in there. Now we've got some challenges here and I want to kind of go over what those are. Here's the way this works. As long as there are 1Bs, there are 21,000 1Bs a week, then they'll never get outside these 17 zip codes. But when we pulled a list of 1Bs over the age of 55 in these zip codes before the ice storm happened.
Hold on, you said 55?
Over the age of 55, 55. When we pulled that before the ice storm started, there were only 12,700 people on that cleaned list. We were having to clean the list. Now there will be more when you go below 55, but that if we don't get busy signing up people in these zip codes, then we're going to run out of people in these zip codes. If we were to do that, we could go outside the zip codes using the vulnerability index. But what the feds want to do, this is a demonstration, obviously they want to help people, but this is a demonstration project. They want to see what kind of impact they can have in underserved communities by focusing to the extent possible exclusively on those underserved communities. We want to get ambassadors up and down the age range in these communities that can get the shot, have a good outcome, and tell their friends who then also come in. We want to show it's a good project so we can continue to advocate to our federal partners to keep it going after their troops leave. And so we need to get people signed up in these 17 zip codes. We've been hamstrung this week because of the ice. One good news piece to announce to you today is Beto O'Rourke will team up with us with a group called Powered by People and do block walking in these 17 zip codes. That is, a free service. And we hope to get a lot of people signed up. We can do many creative things. We can park buses out there and sign people up, load up the bus, and bring them through our bus lanes. But we've got to get busy really registering in these zip codes. Now, something else that I just want to be transparent with the court about what's going on, but I do believe this will be fixed tonight. We received allotment notifications, both Tarrant and Dallas County, late last night, that they were cutting our Moderna in response to us getting this Pfizer. I appealed that last night late, and so did Judge Glenn Whitley, and we had a call moments ago, literally moments before this meeting, with the Commissioner of Public Health, and they're working on a solution. They did not cut the allotments for Harris County, but they did cut the allotments for Dallas County and Tarrant County to 0. We're very hopeful that this will be fixed, and I believe it will be.
Well, Judge, just can't take us out there and leave us out there. We had this conversation, I did at least, with Dr. Helfgott and Senator West Nim a while back. Why are we cutting 0?
Okay, so here's their theory. And I'm always reluctant to tell other people's reasons, but their thought was, since more shots are coming into the state, they could disperse the shots we were getting to other places, and that would be more equitable. Here's the problem with their theory, and again, I'm hopeful we're going to get this resolved. The federal projects are limited to certain zip codes, both in Dallas County and Tarrant County. And so you've got people who are 80 years old or whatever, who've been on the list since January and are waiting to get a shot. And they don't live in these 17 zip codes. And so you disadvantage of the 7.7 million people population here in North Texas that don't live in these 17 zip codes here. And I can't remember how many zip codes it is in Tarrant County. You disadvantage them if you cut the vaccine from weeks 11 through 13. So we're asking that they, put that back. Further, it's my hope that this program would continue so you could disadvantage them for longer. again, if that actually, if our appeal is denied today, then, you know, we need, well, anyway, I want to make you aware of it because we're here in an open meeting. It's information that I know, it's information that could negatively impact, North Texas residents if the state stays with what they're currently doing.
So should we contact the commissioner, state commissioner, to express?
His phone has been blown up, and I'm not mad at him personally. I'm not mad at anybody. Now, Glenn, on the other hand, is less, well, the situation is he's very aware of the situation now, and that the original thought they may have had that we're getting 21,000 vaccines a week to replace 9,000 vaccines a week is just not how this works. So hopefully they will get that, addressed. I think our people have been through enough this week without cutting their vaccine. So hopefully.
Well, but number two, are we getting sufficient Moderna for all of those individuals who have a second shot?
Absolutely. That's not a problem.
And Judge, what is the timeline for finishing the second shots with Moderna and when FEMA will start? I know that in the past they have said probably February 24. Are we still in that timeline? To elaborate on that, because we're getting a lot of people calling saying, hey, my second shot, am I still going to Fair Park tomorrow? They still have Moderna? Can you please elaborate for the media about what are the next steps? I know that you sent a memo saying that tomorrow from 1 to 6, but what are the next steps with people that are for second doses of Moderna, and what is FEMA timeline to come up with the 21,000 to the 17 zip codes that we're talking about?
Sure. So we are not open tomorrow. Tomorrow is expected, by the way, for our residents.
Sorry, Sunday.
Sunday. Tomorrow is expected to be the most treacherous day of driving for the year, as the what's on the street melts and then refreezes the night. You'll have a lot of black ice. That's invisible ice. And so it's not safe for our seniors to drive. We won't be open. So please be cautious if you're driving tomorrow before 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Sunday, we will be open. We've got many doctors from the Dallas County Medical Society. I think at last count, about 43 that are giving up some of their Sunday to be extra shooters for us. We've got 15 Kroger vaccinators from the pharmacy, and we've got our own team of vaccinators from Health and Human Services who are really unsung heroes for the great work that they're doing. We'll have a ton of volunteers. We'll be using all of those computers that IT bought to help us with registration, and we'll offer shots to second shots only to anyone who needs a second shot, whose second shot date was February 12th or sooner. We're working with the DOD every day this week. The Biden administration has called me, and one of the things that we've talked about is using DOD shooters, that is Army medics, working 16 hours a day to help us catch up on the Moderna back shot. We're about 22,000 behind as we begin Sunday, and I'll break that down for you. We're 3,000 behind from last week, 3,000 behind from last week first shots, because the state had trouble getting us our first shot allotment. So that gives us 12,000 first shots for this ICE week. We had about 3,500 second shots that we couldn't give because we were closed on Saturday and Thursday. It was 4,000 because we were closed on Saturday and Thursday. And then we had 6,000 first shots to give this week because, or second shots rather to give this week because of what we did 4 weeks ago. So that comes up to 22,000. But we're going to be able to catch that up very soon. And then further, and I don't know if we have a slide on this. Do we have a slide, Phil, on the federally qualified health centers or anything?
I don't have a slide on that, but we just got off a call with them
Okay.
30 minutes ago.
So another thing that we're looking to do to keep that Moderna flow going is in future, if I'm advocating to our White House and FEMA partners, there's no deal and there's no announcement to be made on this, but I'm advocating to make the Fair Park site a much bigger site with more and more Pfizer vaccines. And there's every reason in the world why all of the partners would want to do that. And so in anticipation of that possibility, we are looking in, beginning in mid-March to have some of our partner agencies help us with Moderna. We've identified Lone Star Park in Grand Prairie as a place that can vaccinate 2,500 people first dose beginning in mid-March. Baylor University Medical Center in downtown that can vaccinate 1,000 people a week beginning March 15th. 4 federally qualified health centers, which would be Los Barrios Unidos, the MLK Center, Healing Hands, which is in Vickery Meadows, and the one in Mesquite, plus Prism Health, formerly AIDS Arms, that's in South Dallas. All 5 of those together, unless the number has changed from the call, Phil, were 3,700 a week, correct?
Yeah, I think that's
when they can do it. Okay. And then we have 100 a week from, I forgot their name, whoever it is, Phil.
Judge, I just found it interesting, UT Southwestern, and we found this out, both Councilman Atkins and I, they got 10,000 doses, and they're in Redbird. Redbird.
Not all 10,000 are at Redbird, but yeah, they do get 10,000 a week.
Well, they're getting 10,000, and they're splitting between, I think, Market Center and Redbird.
Well, Redbird, yeah, okay, yeah, you're right.
But I understand is we're not getting that information, and that's the reason I got some problem with this other thing coming up. I got to get out in the community and stumble upon them. And now,
we need, our biggest challenge is going to be register more people, because otherwise, if we don't register more people, they're going to finish the 17 zip codes really quick.
Yeah. Now, one challenge that we have right now that we'll continue to work on, and I'm going to try to get 2,500 if we find a partner. What we need on this Moderna, if the Pfizer grows, is we need a geographic split of people who can help. Right, and if they had a map right now, you'd see that that we don't currently have enough in the north. For the NAM, because all the places I mentioned to you are either on 30 or well below it. So, we had one that we were looking at on 635 around the 75, but they were unable to provide the shooters and the support staff. We're looking for people who we can provide them vaccine and they can get the shots.
Clinical and non-clinical, Judge.
Clinical and non-clinical. So we don't yet have that. We weren't able to do a deal with Presbyterian or Medical City on that. It may be that one of we will find one that is, north of Northwest Highway, so that we have a good geographic split. We just don't have one as we sit here today yet. That's mid-March is when something might happen where we would need that.
And Garland's operation is not sufficient to fill that gap?
Garland is not interested. We asked Garland first, actually, before anyone else. The situation with Garland is they don't want to use our county list. They want us to give them shots to do their first come, first serve list. Because of the deal that we're trying to work out with our partners, we can't send our shots to a first come, first serve list. So, but.
The bottom line is we've got to register more people.
Correct.
That is the main thing.
Exactly.
And there are numerous ways to do it. Powered by people. I was talking to Beto about this, I guess, this morning and yesterday. And an idea that I had is you find every list that you have, like you've got, the visiting nurse list, the registered voter list, maybe the Dallas Water Utilities if it has age, and you go knock on the doors of everybody over 65 because they qualify, and ask them who else in the house may qualify as a 1B, and you sign them up right there on the spot.
See, Judge, you went back to 65 then. Yeah.
Okay, but here's the reason for that.
Judge.
1B, now Beto's idea was, man, let's just pick a zip code and knock on every door. So that's what he's going to try to do. But
Judge, guess what bothers me, we're confusing the hell out of the public. And that's what bothered me when we started out with that 75, and the 1B has always been 65 and above. And I heard you if it's going to say, well, we're going to do 55.
The federal 1B for this, guys, for these 17 zip codes is over the age of 16 with pre-existing condition. Got it. Right? Up to 64. The reason that we're thinking about telling groups to focus on knocking on the door that has a 65-year-old on there is there are plenty of people between the age of 16 and 64 who do qualify, but there are also many people between those ages who don't qualify. It depends on whether you have a condition. But 65 in and of itself is a qualifier under the federal. So what we're saying is, if a church says, I want to go knock on some doors, if we could give them all the doors on the block that are 65, we know they get a sign up if they get the door up. But however people want to do it, we got to get busy and sign up these zip codes.
Judge, you want to remember that Pickens Hospice also offered to work with us too, Presbyterian Village North.
Right, but that was only 100 a week or 100 a day?
100 a day, I think.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Okay. So that's 500 a week from that. So we found one north so far for 500. We find another 2,000.
What about the idea, Judge, of going into some of these areas and one of the most difficult cases is when people want to register, but they don't have transportation or they don't know how to drive. And of course, in retirement homes or semi-active communities, they are registered, but they don't have a way to get there. I have talked to Dr. Huang, and I have mentioned it to you as well, about the idea of once they register, if we can take them in a bus, vaccination right there, and, with the distancing and all the CDC requirements, we can do that. Or I don't know how feasible, how the logistics will allow to go register and have the vaccination right there.
Right. The vaccination right there is a little ways away.
So temperature and all that.
Yeah, we are talking about that, but that's just not quite ready yet. But we have 2 bus lanes that have been built for this project, and so DART will be picking people up at various locations who sign up and bringing them in. And then we absolutely can do what you're talking about, Dr. Garcia. We could have a bus that Tuesday and Wednesday, we're going to pick up people on a regular schedule from a certain place, and everybody just gets on the bus. Even if they can't figure out how to register, they know they have an underlying condition. They get on the bus. Our people are there. We register them in the parking lot. They get on the bus. They drive through. We shoot them. We take them home.
But we've been doing that. Star Transit and my cities such as the Balk Springs of the world. Star Transit, when we call and people have no way of getting there, we call the transit line and they're picking them up. My cities are at least picking them up and taking them, to places, whether it's the Ellis Davis or wherever, and they're doing it for free of charge. Okay?
It's free of charge, but some of these locations do not have transportation, and the seniors can do it. So
Well, I understand that. That's the reason when we call, we ask them.
some of these are private owned, so not all the cities are involved in this. So I think this is a great opportunity, and it needs to be done.
But give me a example.
Yes, I mean, there are several senior communities. I mean, we have registered a lot of them, but they don't have transportation.
Got it.
More than 20 or 30 people in that location. And we've been asked, I mean, at least my office has been asked, at least in 4 different centers. So if we can do that, how will it work, Dr. Juan? Do we send these places that they're already registered to you so they can be taken? And if they're, to the bus lane at Fair Park, or how will this work? I mean, that's what I'm working with Mr. Edwards.
Right.
To make it happen fast enough, because that will, allow us to vaccinate more people.
Right. I know Mr. Edwards is working on some of those different possibilities. So.
Okay. Sounds well. I mean, I know some municipalities are doing it already, Commissioner Price, but not all of them, and especially in the city of Dallas, there are a lot in District 4. So I want to be sure that all of them have an opportunity to get vaccinated. And we're looking for them anyway. It's just a matter of moving the system in a different way. So with the campaign, we can tackle some of the people to go to the call centers to get registered. Those numbers are going up, and they look good, in my opinion, for being just over a week. And then with all the different events that different people, organizations, and some of us are doing, we should be able to increase those 17 zip codes and give, an opportunity to more people to get vaccinated.
I know I've got 2 planned in 75228 and 75243. So, but it's that coordination and the transportation when it comes to it being said that's going to be the issue.
Yeah, the main thing is registration. Get them registered, then we can figure out how to get them there, or at least get them to show up at a church parking lot and get on the bus. We can register.
Excellent. Thank you.
Commissioner Cott, what?
Well, where I was a number of weeks ago with targeting these zip codes in order to run the test case, see how resistant these populations were to getting in, right? We still don't have a clear idea of what the transportation gap is. So we can register many of these folks. We'll be registering them in all likelihood in their zip codes. So, kind of first proof of concept, how far can a person go? They can get to where you're registering. We don't know if they can get, if they're 15 miles out from Fair Park, if they're going to be able to make that trek as well. So I don't think that registering them is the biggest hurdle. I think the biggest hurdle is understanding how much of a transportation gap we have and how best to close that. And we're talking about 2 things: getting the vaccine closer to them, or creating greater pool of resources to get them to the vaccination hubs. We don't have enough data to know what's going to be effective, and we're not going to have that data, just crawling through what we're doing right now for a couple of weeks. We need to find some other places, other communities that have dealt, that are car commuter type urban areas that have transportation system gaps. So in other words, places like New York is not a good fit regarding how they've done it. LA maybe, King County, Seattle, that's a little bit better, but they have certain densities around their socioeconomic disadvantaged areas are probably a little bit more transportation closer to them. We're missing 4 weeks of data on how best to get this done, and we're not going to have the best system set up for another 4 weeks. It's going to be in April by the time we get this right.
Anyone else on this?
Nope.
All right. Well, thank y'all for your support on this. Is there another? I have a presentation. I beg your pardon, from the Texas Workforce Commission, if they're here. Is that still on? The Texas Workforce Commission, if they're on, Lori Laredo will lead us through a presentation. And again, we're all in crisis mode now, so she may be working on something else. Is Lori Laredo on?
Yes, sir. Right here.
Lori, how are you? Go ahead.
Doing well. Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, commissioners and judge and the audience. First, let me say thank you to all of you. It's inspiring to sit and listen to the passion and commitment for our community. Thank you, what you've done in the last year. I've seen so many actions taken by this group and so many good things happening. Today, we're here to talk about business as usual. I know that's not as usual lately, but we do have a plan for workforce over the next 3 years to review the details with you. This is nothing carved in stone. We must prepare a plan and submit it. But at any time that you have an idea, you have a suggestion, please do not hesitate. We are always open for your input and the ability to respond to what is going on in the community. This is more about the normal funding that we receive, but I will touch on some COVID activity toward the end. I believe the county was going to handle the slideshow for me. Is that going to happen, guys?
There you go.
Yes. There we are. Thank you so much. Next slide. What we're doing is no surprise. After this community was hit with over 358,000 unemployment claims since last March 1. Job one for us is to get employers the workforce they need to keep moving forward and to get as many people back in the workforce as possible. We crescendoed to a 13% unemployment rate. That's the definition of unprecedented. We are back down to 6.6%. We have a fighting chance. We need to get that back down to the more normal 3.5% to 4%, which is a basic churn of workforce. So employers are a priority, getting the workforce they need so they can be productive, getting the workers back in. We're going to completely reboot and refurbish our youth program for Opportunity Youth. The largest population affected by unemployment were 18 to 30-year-olds in the Dallas market, high school graduates in the Dallas market, 55% women, and the ethnic breakout is very interesting. It is 29% or so of white, 23% Hispanic, and 38% Black. What we're seeing is that it changed our normal population because it affected everyone more equally than it normally would because of what jobs were taken out. The high-end jobs, the low-end jobs, you name it. We've been doing job fairs, essential jobs, trying to get more people back to work. Sadly, those jobs are low pay, and those jobs are going to people without a high school diploma. So we have a lot of work to do. We have the adult ed program, and we have the English as a second language program. We are very conscious. These programs have to step up as soon as we are clear to start in person. Last March, we pivoted to virtual. We have been successful in virtual until the ice hit, but we were doing pretty well. We'll resume services Monday morning, we think. We've got the phones back up, and I think we've retested systems. We only had one major leak, and that's in the Irving office. So everything else has kind of come back together. We hope that we'll be able to just pick it up immediately. We never stopped writing scholarships. We have a lot of people going to training, and we do have the money. Another thing we're looking at as a very strong focus is credentialing, getting people credentials so they can upskill, so they can compete in the market. The jobs that went away may not come back. We can't just all do logistics. We can't just all wait for something. Yesterday, we got a call asking how are we going to help train plumbers. We recognize these. Y'all know that's not a quick fix, but it is right now, strike while the iron is hot. When people are concerned about plumbing, it's a real good time to recruit people to the trades because the business is good. So we'll do as much as we can in that space. Other things we're looking at, the last two items on that page have to do with childcare. Childcare took a beating in the last year as an industry. It is the unsung hero of the workforce. You cannot have women in the workforce and families in the workforce without having childcare, reliable childcare. Centers have been up and down. The Texas Workforce Commission did an amazing job. They did better than most states in giving COVID money. I thank you to Dallas County, City of Irving, and City of Dallas. We were able to make small grants, $3,000 grants, $5,000 grants to childcare centers to keep them going. The state is looking at more of that innovation, but those two things are a primary concern to us, that we deal with childcare as an industry. How do we prop that industry up so it can help us get all the people back to work? And how can we raise the quality in childcare? Those are two major points just want to bring up. On new initiatives, next page. There you go. Oh, there you are. New initiatives, very interesting period over the last year. We have been able to bring in very innovative projects. Workforce One is not ours, it's the Dallas College, but we're involved. We're going to recruit and place. They're going to do the training. That's a fabulous $10 million asset to the community that arrived the very last day of the former administration. So the Department of Labor awarded, I think, 12, and the only one in Texas went to Dallas College. Kudos to Joe May and his team. We're going to hang in there. We're going to help them. It's a lot of good information in here about what we're training in. We're still partnering with Dallas Thrives. The whole point of that is to bring up wage and make sure that working families make a living wage, something that will keep people out of poverty. Future of Work Challenge. This is something very new. X-Prize and MIT. I was on calls yesterday with MIT for quite some time. We're one of 5 groups in the country that got selected. So we will be working with an innovative project. They're going to match us up with their idea of what was missing in Dallas. The prospects are good. And then we're also going to be matched up with a new technology solution that would help us do more virtual training. We're pretty excited about this, but we'll wait and see how it turns out. We hope that it will give us just another tool, another arrow in the quiver, something that can make a difference in our community about upskilling. Our brand this year is Work and Learn, the Work and Learn strategy. Thomas Friedman is even saying it, work, learn, work, learn. We cannot work our way out of this without skills, without education. I encourage all of you to incorporate that into community talk. People have got to stop and learn for a moment. It's got to become a learning community because you want that money, that next credential, that next credential. Nobody has to go back to full-time school and academics, but you got to get that next credential to get that better job. And we're really pressing that issue this season. With the pandemic, jobs are going away. You've got to have a credential to get that next job in the door.
But you can have a credential, Ms. Laurel, and good to see you as always. And I'm going to talk about it in my next presentation. But, you know, at the end of the day, you can be as credentialed as the next person. But unfortunately, we find ourselves in a system that still, even in our system in Dallas County, we don't have to take the best credentialed individual. There is a minimum, there is a floor, a minimal that qualifies, and an individual gets a chance to select. And again, I'm going to keep going back to Isabel Wilkerson's book, Cast. If that happens, then all of your prejudices come into play. And that's the reason you've got a workforce partially that's 38% African American.
Yes, sir. I understand thoroughly. We're happy to see so much attention to equity, but you're quite right. There is disproportionate number of people in both Black and Hispanic who are not given the same opportunities. And that is one of the things we hope to combat. It is doubly hard right now to make the case, as there are so many people being unemployed. So I'm hoping this stabilizes soon, but we are still getting layoff notices. I'm a little concerned about that. So it's almost like, you know, the pipes bursting after the frost thaws. We're still getting displacement due to COVID. It's just strung out over a longer period of time. So the numbers matter. And I work very closely with the Senator's office, Senator West, trying to make sure that people are being served and that people are getting their unemployment. I will tell you there is a disproportionate share as well who are having problems with technology. And we're doing our best to make sure we bridge that gap. But you're right to point to it, believe me.
Or can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of outreach do you do to address the disparities?
The last full year has been outreaching the unemployed number, but, and a couple of things that happened that didn't help us, frankly. The TANF program, which is the Welfare Direct Assistance to Families, removed their sanctions during this time, which is the proper thing to do, but it has less incentive to have them answer our call, people who really need the help. The same is true in SNAP. But the people in unemployment were really pushed and challenged to train, to get back to work. And those are the populations, and that's the percentages I offered at the beginning. Those are the people that were most recently affected. And we have about 10 weeks to put them back to work. That's what the state wants.
But still, at this point, it's still that people have to find the service. What are we doing to reach out to the people who need the service, who, first of all, may not be aware, or second of all, have some fears or myths about taking the benefits?
Yes, a couple of things we've done successfully. We can text directly to cell phones for all of the people registered and work in Texas, and predominantly those that are on unemployment. They have to be current because the state has to communicate. So we push out job postings, we push out notice. We run Facebook Live Job Fair. We've gotten it routine now. It's every Monday from 10 to noon on Facebook on our Workforce Solutions page. This has helped. It has helped dramatically. We also do virtual job fairs, and we are outreaching people through community organizations. We've worked with DeSoto, we've worked with the mayor, we've worked with the senator. People are helping us get the word out through social media, and we know that's not adequate. But right now, it's about the best we have. We keep our phone lines going. We put together Jobs Now, which was a response. The judge had called me very early in the pandemic, and we are partnering with Say Yes to Dallas out of the chamber. But ours is direct calling. We are reaching out directly to anyone in our system to explain to them what kind of jobs were existing throughout the pandemic. And it's the Kroger jobs, the Walmart jobs, et cetera. But at least it's a job, especially if you can't get unemployment.
Right. I'd like to talk with you, just having information, the flyers, whatever, to help me get that information out even further. I'd like to follow up with you.
And I do try to tweet to each one of you. I have made sure that I send you things when I know there's something that's advance notice. But be aware that Monday, every Monday, we feature employers on a Facebook Live for 2 hours. We're about to partner with Telemundo. They're going to feature one of my staff doing the entire show in Spanish. And we're going to they're going to put it on their own Facebook page so that we begin to start truly outreaching people. NBC came to us. I was very impressed. And I think we'll do the first one, not this Monday, but the next. We've had to delay due to the ice, but we're getting there. We're getting a little more power out here. Next page. Data. This is who was unemployed in our market, and it's very telling. Young adults, women, people of color, and high school graduates. Oddly, look at the difference in high school graduates versus just getting that next 1 year of college. It's a huge difference in who's displaced. Economic snapshot is next. Next slide. There we go. This is a heat map that helps you understand where unemployment was most significant. We also have a lot of information in here. Most of this is required by the state, but we thought that it would be interesting to you. If you would like any other information like this, please let me know. We produce this every month for our board of directors. Next slide. Again, important data. You are always being asked, where are the jobs? Statistically, this is where the jobs will be in the next 2 years in our community. Our data people work directly with the chamber. We do a lot of tools. We're not just basing it on burning glass. We're doing a lot of work to figure out where the jobs will be, what they will pay, and how fast they will grow. There's 2 good pages here. As you can see, healthcare is a major issue. There is technology, even education. Public ed needs teachers and substitutes, and we need childcare teachers. We also have the warehousing and moving merchandise. Next page. If you'll notice, we put police and safety in there. We can never find enough people, and that includes not only the Dallas Police, but all of the police departments have reached out to us over the last 2 years. Advanced manufacturing. We've got several construction. We mentioned earlier, plumbers. We just need more skilled tradespeople to get this done, and business management, which is a mainstay of the Dallas market. I would like to point out a couple of things coming your way. If you choose to advocate for these, the Workforce Investment Act, something that we've been doing since, 2014, 13. The Workforce Innovation Act is going to be reauthorized. It is the only bipartisan bicameral bill that was ever passed in this century, I think. And the new one is relaunching America's Workforce Act. It is co-sponsored by bipartisan delegation. It is proposed to push $11 billion through the workforce system across this country. There's about 520 boards like ours. It's earmarking training, of course, skills training, but $1 billion in adult education and English language skills, $1 billion in work-based learning. This is a very big topic, work and learn, and $2 billion to infuse the college campuses to be more responsive to employers. It is very similar to the ARRA, which was passed in 9 and 10, that gave us the ability to rebound. So I attended a session earlier today with Mayor Williams out of Arlington and the U.S. Conference of Mayors talking about the endorsement of the RAWA. I hate the acronym, the RAWA Act, but that is coming fast. I want to thank the county for working with us. We have a little bit of COVID money that the state gave us, and it's earmarked for a work and learn strategy and temporary employment. So coincidental with the earlier discussion, we are in a position to hire temporary workers on behalf of the county to work at the county's discretion for registering patients for the COVID vaccine. So hopefully within the next 2 weeks, we will begin to add the 50 some odd workers that will help us with the problem that was previously discussed and get more people registered in person. We'll have groups that will go around the community to do more of the grassroots registration. That's pretty much our presentation. I hope I can help you with this or future information. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Judge? I don't know what that is. Thank you, Ms. Loretta. Judge, I have the next presentation.
Commissioner, sorry, before you go to that, I've got some more information. I just took a call from Commissioner Hellerstedt. They have released allocations, and my staff has pulled those allocations, and the state has cut Dallas County's allocation as follows. They cut the city of Garland in half. They lowered the distribution of Moderna from 5 hubs down to 3. They cut Dallas to 0. They cut Dallas County to 0. They cut Baylor. They made cuts to UT Southwestern, Parkland, and Baylor University Medical Center. So we went from at the hubs, this doesn't account small people get small doses to like providers. At the hubs, we're making sure we count this right, but it appears that we went from 41,325 last week to 21,560 for the upcoming week. So they have docked all Dallas providers to full 21,000 and change that the feds are bringing in. And I don't want to discuss that too much until I've taken a moment. You can discuss it, but I'm going to try to stay quiet until I'm in a better spot. But they did say they were going to look at that for next week, but that the ship had left the dock for this week. And so that's the information that we have. I'll bring to you as we move forward on more information, but that information is, 1 minute old.
My presentation is going to continue to deal with the Parkland Health and Hospital Systems and the monkey mugs. On February the 19th, 2020 at 11:40 today, Washington, a former operating room aide at a Texas hospital has asked the Supreme Court to decide whether his exposure to one of the most offensive terms in both the English language was so severe it created a hostile work environment. The hospital did not respond to the appeal, suggesting the lawyers felt confident that the justice would decline to hear the case. But this week, the court called for a response from the hospital. The issue has divided the nation's federal courts. Some have said that the use of the slur is so serious that its isolated incidents cannot establish a claim of discrimination. Others have said the single use in the mere evidence it doesn't meet the test. The appeal was filed by Robert Collier, who was fired after working at Parkland Memorial Hospital in Dallas from 2009 to 2016. He filed a discrimination lawsuit saying that Black employees were treated worse than others. Most notably, and he goes on to talk about all of this, all I'm saying to you is that the fact that we stand silent and say nothing about the culture that is at Parkland, that is pervasive, that creates a work environment that, we sit here and we talk about, racism as a hazard, a health hazard, and then we still say nothing. We say nothing. We appoint that board. The monkey mugs is in fact it's similar to creating a hostile work environment. We are being sued right now, all the way to the Supreme Court, and we use taxpayers' money to fend off the offensiveness that is occurring in the workplace. And I don't know how the hell we sit idly by and don't say anything about what's going on. I still say, if it was anything else other than the domination of African American people, we would have something to say about it. And monkey mugs is still an insulting, creates a hostile work environment, and is not a teachable moment. I will continue to talk. This this case, and I doubt very seriously, maybe, you know, if you're a lawyer, maybe you're following it, but it's gone all the way to the Supreme Court from Parkland Hospital. And I bet you none of us know anything about it. But it's the same hospital board that we appoint, and we talk about culture and diversity. They've had outside individuals say they've got problems with culture and diversity, and all we do is take taxpayers' money and fend off the fact that, okay, so we got a certain class of people who are insulted. What the hell? You're coming back in, Judge. I think that the lawsuit speaks for itself, but it's Parkland. It's not one of the other hospitals. It's Parkland. It's majority tax supported hospital. It's Parkland. Culture and diversity. It's Parkland. Said that 2015. New building, same culture. It's Parkland. And the man gets fired. You there, Judge? Are you on another call? We can go on with the consent agenda. I mean, I've said it. I'm going to say it each and every court, and I'm going to have a different instance that shows that we could. I just want to know how much money we've spent on it. So that's my next question. I want to know how much money we spend defending whether or not, you know, a certain hostile work environment is tenable.
Could you share that information with us, please?
I sure will. Pete Williams, Supreme Court. I will do it. Judge, you want to do it, or you want me to move the agenda? Or are you doing something else? Okay.
All right, well, it's time for our consent agenda, and we're going to pull sheriff's personnel for a separate vote. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 And any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Is there a motion on the sheriff's consent agenda?
The sheriff personnel, I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion?
Same thing, Judge. I mean, lack of diversity, and you know, we did well for a few weeks. At this point, I just will continue to abstain.
I will be abstaining also.
I'll abstain as well then. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 2 with 3 abstentions. Next takes us to, I beg your pardon on this one. Next takes us to our
court orders.
Court orders 1 through 37 and addendums 38 through 45. We've had a request. I actually had a different pull list for this, but okay. We have a request to pull items 11, 17, and 45 for separate votes, and that makes more sense. Is that right? Is that what it is?
Whoa. No, and I pull 6 for 2 weeks. I pull 6 for 2 weeks. Credit checks for pre-trial intervention agreements. When those dadgum accounts got $5 million in it, really? I pull it.
No, 11, 17, and 45 back in there. I'm no longer requesting to pull separately, but just have a comment on 45.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Koch, can you repeat? You were cutting off.
Yeah, I had said that we can put L11, L17, and L45 back in. I'm not going to ask that they be held for separate vote, but I just do have a comment on 17 and 35.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is there a motion on all orders pulling 6 for 2 weeks and 11 for separate vote?
Well,
No, 11's back in there. 11, 17, we're all in there.
Oh, I'm sorry. So everything's back in there. So is there a motion on the court orders absent 6?
Except for Price is number 6. Except for Commissioner Price is number 6.
I'm not going. Yeah, I'm going to vote no on 17 and on again 45 because that contract. I just can't.
Well,
Yeah.
well, let's pull it for separate vote then. 17, 45.
Okay.
So, all right. So now we have a motion on all court orders, pulling 11 and 45 for separate votes and 6 for 2 weeks. Is there a motion?
I think you wanted 17 and
17.
Not 11.
Not 11, I beg your pardon. All right. So is there a motion on all the court orders except for 6, 17, and 45?
So move. El Garcia.
I'll second. Yeah, I'll
All
second.
right. Is there any discussion?
Call the question.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, next up is 17. And is there a motion on 17?
So move.
Okay, is there a second? Is there a second on 17?
It's the marketing for services 90 days.
Yeah, this is a motion to, since they didn't do the work in the first 90 days, because it took a while for them to do it now, the people that we've hired. Is there
Well,
a
second for discussion then.
Second for discussion. Okay. All right. So we got a motion and a second. Let's have that discussion.
Well, my position is that we've been rocking along without them this far. I don't know what value. Hell, we've already concretized a plan that we need to go out into the community. I'm trying to figure out why do I need to spend the money now. I'm with that about like I am with 45 and Accenture. I'm spending all this dadgum money and what?
Well, on that, we got 680,000 people on our list, but the goal is to get everybody who's willing to take a vaccine on our list to get the herd immunity. So,
Judge, everybody wants the damn shot. I mean, they're platinum for the most part.
I wish that were true, but we got a lot of people that aren't registered.
Well, the registered is one thing, Judge. See, I'm not going to, well, okay, I'm not going to spend a lot of time with that. But registering is one thing. They just got to begin to, trust some of the people that's supposed to be driving. That's the key. And hiring this dadgum firm doesn't do that. But anyway, y'all do what you want to do. I'm out.
And I want you guys' houses can.
Here was
a plan yet?
Here was the problem that I initially had with this. We were doing the 2 parallel tracks. We had our RFP, and then we needed this in the short term because, and if we go back to the quote where we approved this, because we needed to get something going right away. Well, that right away isn't here anymore. Now, I'd like to hear from Mr. Frosch where the county RFP is, so that we can get a better understanding of whether or not we really need to be doing this, whether or not we should rely on that in its entirety.
Mr. Frosch?
Mr. Frosch, are you there?
Say it again, I missed you.
Oh, we heard you.
I see. He's saying unmute him. There's something happening where you can't unmute yourself today.
And who do you need unmuted?
Unmute Mike Frosch.
Oh, okay, I apologize for that.
Before he speaks, a couple of thoughts, and I'm not you know, well, a couple of thoughts. We need as much help as we can get, and it's 100% reimbursable. Go ahead, Mr.
Okay,
Brush.
Mike Frost has been unmuted.
Mike?
Hello, Commissioners. The proposal, due to the weather, we have the pre-proposal meeting is next Wednesday, February 23rd. The questions we'll do on Friday. So we're still probably, the proposals are due to be back to our office for review on March 4th. So we're probably 45 to 60 days out from having a recommendation back to the board for consideration for the 3-year contract for the media contract for Dallas County. So we still have a good ways here. Yeah. It's like they mentioned, it's a 90-day extension to the original contract, and I think there was a list in the back of that HHS provided showing where they were in the current progress of that original contract.
Okay, so based on that, please pass this.
Yeah, what Mr. Frost just said is that we are halfway through for an RFP for a marketing firm that we're supposed to have, and we never done. So with that being said, as uncomfortable as I feel with this procedure at this point, we were the one that asked them to find subcontractors, and that took them longer. I'm saying, I mean, we needed diversity, obviously, because we know that we have to have a diverse message. But guys, I totally agree. While we don't have a firm that was selected by Dallas County, this is what we have right now. They have asked everything we've done. We didn't expect this weather to get in the middle of it, but we need education. I mean, I disagree. Not everybody wants to get vaccinated. And sadly, it's on premises that are completely crazy. All the doctors have said we needed more tracing, more vaccination, and more education, and more registration. So this is one of the components that we really need to have if we want to achieve that 70 to 80% community-wide spread immunity, or herd immunity, as you want to call it. Reality is we need an education campaign. We need an education campaign that is diverse, cultural diverse, and more importantly, dismisses a lot of misinformation and disinformation that is in social media. So I will be supporting this item. We need to move, guys. We need more registration and more education, more vaccination.
So we need more education, but so far it's been 30 days and we don't even have a plan for that.
We're going to do it with no education. I mean, either you don't have anything, or let's try to get as much as we can.
We don't have anything at this point through this company. And so now they're asking for another 90 days. I think among the members of the board, we've been able to educate as much as, or more than they've been able to educate.
Well, and
it's not even a plan.
Well, I agree that we have been doing a lot, all of us as a court. We need some professional marketing and education. I mean, we cannot spend as much as the media can do. So my personal feeling is, yes, this is not the perfect plan. Yes, this might not be the perfect company. We take that 1 month. And in 1 month, all this weather came across. So I cannot blame them completely for, we gave them 1 month and then this happened. So I do feel that at this point, we need professional help with messaging and education and dispelling a lot of myths. And we're seeing it that we need more registration. I would like that campaign to focus on that. It's going to take 3 things if we want to beat this pandemic. It's going to be education, registration, and vaccination. And this is one important component of any campaign if we're going to beat COVID-19. So at this point, I will ask you, probably not very happy, Commissioner Price, and trust me, I hear you 100%, but we need to move forward, and we're going to need this. So in my personal opinion, guys, it's time to move on and bring them along.
Well, here's one other problem with waiting. If we get the world's greatest marketing company 60 days from now, obviously we need to do a whole lot now. But if we were to get the greatest company 60 days from now, they're not going to have a plan on day one. they're going to take a little while, like this one did, to get their plan out there. So you may not have them actually on the ground doing something till 80 days from now.
Correct.
And the metropolitan area that is going to thrive is the one that comes out of this the strongest, the quickest. And that's going to be us. If we just.
And we're talking about those 17 zip codes. Guys, we're going to need help register these 17 zip codes. Otherwise, in the disparity that we have right now, the 60, 20, 10, they're going to be able to vaccinate faster than we will be able to register. So that is one of my biggest concerns, that we really need help in the marketing area.
Dr. Garcia, this is where my problem is. Everything you say has been pretty much spot on, right? But I don't see how these folks are the solution. They've given us the first indication that they're going to be a poor partner in this, and that they've needed this extra time to get folks, the diversity in their subcontractor to be able to be effective. And, even when we first approved this particular vendor, there was no overwhelming evidence that they were going to be great at this. I have seen nothing to this point that this is the right way to go with these folks. We might as well be setting this $500,000 on fire, because I think that even when we get 6 months or 6 weeks out to our final contractor, it may be better than waiting. May be better than that, because we will have the $500,000 to be used effectively by someone who actually will have the capabilities we need to get this thing done.
But we can't change the contract. In the contract that is presented to the court, there's always a clause where we can terminate if they do not comply with everything we want. My concern, Commissioner Clutch, is that the longer we wait, it's time that we're wasting. And until we have something a little bit more concrete, I feel that everyone needs to start listening to a different message. I see a lot of reluctancy among all communities, really, about the COVID-19 vaccine.
You're not wrong, but here's the thing. Like everything in advertising, if you hear the message too much and it's a crummy message at first, you tune it out. So, I think that you got to take a good, clean shot. Your first opening salvo to people to convince them to come in better be pretty damn good. So if we have any inkling that this is the B team, we need to shut it down and get the A team right away.
But you're asking for at least, like Mr. Frush say, another 5 months. That's a long time, Commissioner.
5 months, not 5 months.
Well, it's gonna take at least 3 to 4 to do the hiring, and then another at least 2 months to create the campaign. So yeah, we're looking at around 5 months if we don't move.
It's not as though, it's kind of like getting a mechanic. We know we're going to get a mechanic. You can convert that. You can give, if he or she knows engines, it doesn't take that much to do a conversion. We know what plan. We're not recruiting for somebody to go and do whatever. They know what the plan is. Everybody already knows. Then they know. And the fact that they have sat here 30 days and I've seen nothing for 30 days.
Well, and Commissioner, like I say, I have my reservations, but at this point, I think that this is the right time to start marketing. And if we have to wait 4 or 5 months, it's a long time.
And again, I want to remind folks, they're just asking for a no-cost extension. They're not asking you for more money. We approved them on January 27th. Today is the 19th of February. They're simply saying, we would like to work for you longer for the same amount of money.
But what have they done for 30 days?
Well, they look for the subcontractors that we asked.
No, they already had, they had that when we did the approval. Okay, so what have they done for 30 days?
Well, again, it hasn't been 30 days. It's been more like 20 days.
Okay.
But what have they done for 20 days? I got a lot going on. I have not checked what this little group is doing. Phil, do you have any information about what this group does? Dr. Wong? Anyone on are you there?
Anyway.
Mr. Frosch,
Okay, here, well, somebody texted me something. Belmont team did not have power this week. They presented their plan to staff today. It was actually expedited based on their normal time for putting together a plan. So that's what I know about that. Phil, do you know anything else about it?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much that's the case. I mean, they've developed their plan working with the subcontractors. It's only been like 2 weeks. One of the weeks has been with the snow situation. They're not asking for more money. They said, to actually do a campaign in 30 days to develop the campaign and implement it. It's not enough time to really do something, as I'm sure all of you are aware. We do. It is not there. I was just on this hearing. This congressional hearing about vaccine hesitancy. There is still a lot of misinformation out there about vaccines. In the Hispanic community, they were talking about, the distrust of the government, a lot of other misinformation, worried about, collection of information. Some people don't even know that the vaccine is out there and available. And so there is, we have very limited supply and huge demand, but there are still, and especially in the target populations that we want to reach, there is a lot of misinformation and a lot of need for communications to get buy-in on the vaccine.
All right, any other discussion on this one? Again, I think it would be helpful in the battle. It's 100% reimbursable. I think it would be helpful in the battle against COVID to get people registered. And I think we all want to get people registered. I would agree they're not a perfect vendor, but neither else.
I think we all agree that this has been very rushed. I think we all agree that we have work to do. And I'd rather do it with as much help as I can do that all by ourselves. So I am going to support this item. And we need the campaign. We need the education.
Any other? Okay, Dr. Daniel, you had
There's no doubt. There's no doubt that we need the registration. We need the education. That if we haven't, just some kind of a plan of what they're doing would have been helpful at this point. So I'm at this point very, very limited.
You already have something. I mean, I haven't received anything. Do you have anything that you can forward us?
Doctor, I haven't seen anything, but they allegedly, or not allegedly, I'm sure they did, because my chief of staff sent me that text that some group of employees had previewed the plan today. Dr. Wong, do you have a copy of the plan or anyone on your staff that they could send to people? And by the way, there's something weird happening with the computer today, Boris. He's locked out again, Dr. Wong.
Yeah, we can't. We have to. We don't get. Can't unmute ourselves. I just got.
It's that setting because when people mute themselves, then they can't unmute, and that hasn't happened before.
So we can. I think the presentation was made today. I have not seen it, but we can certainly send that over. But so that, again, I think it was supposed to be. It was scheduled earlier in the week, and because of the snow and ice, they had to reschedule the presentation. But they did do the presentation today. I don't know if Katie or Lauren have the copy of that.
I'm going to pull this and vote no. I'm going to let it go because I for the same reasons that Dr. Garcia articulated, this is something that's important for, the public health reasons. As this discussion has gone on, this has gotten worse. I can know how do we hold these people accountable without the plan? So I'm a no on this. This is not how we're supposed to be operating.
No, and I'm no. So call the question, Judge. I'm no.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Yeah, okay. Any nays?
Nay.
Nay.
All right, that motion fails, 3-2, and we're on to 45. Board Order 45.
And 45 is a scope modification statement of this is that contract. Like, how much more? What are we going to do, y'all? I mean, here we go again. Now, you start, first order you did was September 20th, contact tracing. And here we are again with some modification statement of work. And I look, and I've asked IT to look at this, and I don't know if Ms. Kraft is on the call. I mean,
Commissioner, we need a first discuss, sir.
Sir?
We need a first, a second. We didn't move it to discuss, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll move for purpose of discussion.
Second.
Okay. So again, I'm back to what I said. This is another one of the contracts that we because of our numbers, we haven't been able to to put them in queue in terms of really doing it. I've seen the numbers that we continue to talk about, but we keep spending all of this money, and I don't know if we're buying into. Work. I've asked them to look at it. What does this look like compared to what we entered this on August 28, 2020? We passed the first court order September 2020. We passed another one on December 15th, 2020, and we just keep at it. And I'm not so sure that we're getting a bang for our bucks again. We're just throwing money. I'm not there.
Can I respond to that?
Please.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this has been our whole data infrastructure, data collection, part of the things that have been built on this that we're still developing, the whole ingestion of lab data from all the numerous sources, all of that. We've initiated and implemented a whole system for collecting electronic case reports from hospitals. As a result of what we've started, we've got Parkland Hospital System, Baylor, Scott and White. We've got THR now on track to start reporting and sending us the data electronically. This is initially for COVID, but the plan is, and this will also allow more of that electronic reporting for all other non-COVID conditions, all reportable conditions. The systems that we're developing, the deduplication of these labs, this is building our public health data infrastructure that we need, that we have recognized has been not supported for decades. And that's why when we got to COVID, we've been having to deal with paper faxes and hand entered data. If we do not continue to implement and support this, we will be back to where we were before. It's taking that continued development, but we're further. It's not just the numbers, but the whole systems. We're trying to modernize even some of the techniques when we make the calls for contact tracing. We've been sending out text messages to the people before saying, please, you expect a call from the health department. These are things that have greatly increased the response rates to our calls. These are things that can be applicable to other STIs, TB investigations. There's a whole lot of this platform and the techniques that we're developing that are still important, very important for COVID, but we really need to lay this foundation and build our capacity for dealing with the data, supporting the data. As you've seen throughout the COVID pandemic, the information and the numbers and having this available is so critical. When we don't have it, we don't know what's going on. And unless we invest in these systems, we're going to be still with paper faxes.
Windows 2007 versus, new to IT system.
I keep hearing the same canned speech. M-Track, we talk about that. We talk about how the state's infrastructure, we rely on the state, how our system don't talk to the state, or the state is all I see us doing again is continuing to pour money into the system. And all I'm saying to you is that, you know, I for the cause, and Ms. Crawford, you on the phone?
Well, and I guess
Good evening, Commissioner. I am now. Sorry, I was trying to get unmuted. So.
Okay.
You start. This did not come before ITECG, correct?
From my knowledge, it was not presented to ITGC. There was an emergency purchase.
I see this as just a piece of the lack of infrastructure for healthcare services across the board. And that this company has shown itself, has proven itself, but it's now deeper in the weeds with it and recognizes what else it's going to need to get the job done.
So let's call the question.
All right.
I am supportive of this piece because I read the contract and kind of know what's going on here. But I will say that this particular this is kind of poorly explained for the public. Now I understand that we are doing this in small part to build out our framework for the future. But one of the things that I think everyone is going to be continuing to ask, what is it doing for us now regarding our ability in contact tracing? And I think that's, Dr. Wong, I think it's really important to speak to that. Will we see dividends with this in April, May, June, July? I think that's the case, from what I understand from the timeline here. Can you speak to that? Because I think that's the most important thing that, I know we've done some things with our CARES money and with some of the other federal funds that are great for further down the road. But a lot of those funds are supposed to be for right now to relieve pressure and problems. So, I think it's important to speak to, does this relieve some immediate needs here, to July?
Sure, and absolutely. I mean, we have seen tremendous benefits already. You just have to know, in terms of the way we've been getting and the primitive way we've been getting these lab reports in from all the various sorted sources, from the state health department, from local labs, all of this, the processing of that. Again, just collecting this information, ingesting it so it's not all manual processes, trying to make them automatic, then you can imagine the duplications. We get some of these reports from the state, we're getting some of the reports directly from the labs, and then you get typos, and how do you get those algorithms to make sure that these cases are correctly processed and deduplicated. Then we're again trying to get the electronic case reports from the hospitals. This is some of the hospital records, some of the records of what's happened during the hospitalizations and the lab tests and all of that information. And this is huge amounts of information that has to be synthesized and correlated, and that's what gets to our cases, and that just starts the whole process. Then how automating and working with the telephone systems so we can keep track of who is next in priority. We've used it to prioritize who needs to get contacted first. CDC put some priorities within 6 days of the date of test collection being the top priorities, because if they're over 14 days, by that time, then it's really not useful anymore. So all of these systems to make those processes improved. I mentioned the integration of some of the texting and all these other mechanisms of communication. It's a whole system, but it's not just contact tracing. It's the whole data synthesis, data integration, and using these tools to do the business that we need to do.
Well, and just a quick question on the real implication of that, right? So when we get to a place where this is mature and we are in a place where we're in that environment where we can effectively contact trace, less than 200 cases a day, is it safe to say that when we have effective contact tracing versus either no or ineffective contact tracing, we can find ourselves reducing the caseload more rapidly? So, rather than seeing a steady 200 a day, we can quickly get ourselves in an environment where we're 50 a day. And on the other side of things, when we are kind of in a very low zero environment, if you will, or 10 cases a day, when we start seeing it pop back up, which will naturally happen again towards the end of 2021 and into 2022, when we have effective contact tracing, when we're going from 10 to 100, we're going to give ourselves an opportunity to stay under 100 per se. Is that the case? Because I think that's really what most of us care most about, is that we're going to give ourselves an advantage.
Sure. I mean, I think once the numbers are down, then that's when it becomes even more important with the new the variants, the UK variant, South Africa, Brazil, being able to identify those quickly, control those and contain those is very important. And so, these are tried and true public health interventions that need to be maintained, and we need to develop the systems. I know that at the federal level, they are looking at, they're recognizing how all of these systems have been neglected, and looking at how do we apply what we're developing for COVID and really make it more of a sustained effort. And have been on numerous calls also with the state. So what we're doing is actually, we, along with Tarrant County now, have been leading and sort of at the cutting edge of some of the electronic case reporting from the hospital systems. And so what we've been doing, again, just as a result of our work and our partnerships in Dallas County, it's been within the last few months, Parkland Hospital System, Baylor Scott and White, THR are all now have made progress on implementing their electronic record systems to be more direct reporting into our systems rather than having to do these paper faxes.
And that's great. That's going to be important because I guess kind of the last piece of it, we're not going to be done with COVID, or COVID's not going to be done with us after, full rounds of vaccinations, right? I mean, 5 years on, we're still going to be talking about this, and we're going to be doing contact tracing for COVID, not just TB and other diseases, communicable diseases that will benefit from this process. But, what the feds are giving us the money for COVID, we're going to be dealing with that for years to come.
Right. I mean, again, this is, it's not going to be all over immediately.
Other question.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion carries 4-1. Before we go on, I want to make sure I've got a couple of things straight. I got some questions for the DA and for Mr. Frosh. Mr. Frosh, are you and the DA on there? Can you say something? I know it's having a weird day with the computer.
Yes, I'm on. This is Mike.
Okay.
And I'm on as well.
Great. So here's the concern. I just want to make, I think what the court did back on whatever order that was about Belmont is the attempt is to get out of the contract, I think. I think that was the attempt. What we did actually is we voted against the extension. Given that being the case and that we're in a contract with them that we signed on January 27th, what is our out of that contract, assuming what the court was attempting to do is not pay the $500,000? Do we still have to pay it and we just don't have time to get the advertising out, or is there a way out of the contract?
Well, from the legal standpoint, it was a request for an extension. That's what was denied. I would have to go back and look at the original contract. This was to vote on an amendment. It did not undo the original contract. It just chose not to approve the proposed amendment. I would have to go back and look at the original contract, but this was only a vote on the amendment as per the agenda. Okay. And the amendment was just an extension.
Well, okay. Mr. Frost, do you know what is our out from that contract? If the court took a mind that they did not want to continue, and suppose we owe these people for all the work they've done today, I don't think what the court intended to do was pay $500,000 but not get any advertising, which is what is likely to happen if you continue the contract without the extension. So what's our out?
And as Judge Rosen said, I don't have the contract in front of me today, but the work done to date would have to be paid for. So the work done to create the marketing plan, any work that we accepted would have to be paid for. We'll have to look at the termination provisions inside that contract. It was only a 30-day contract, so therefore, obviously, it was very short. So I don't know if we have the same termination clauses that we would have in our normal contract, which is usually 30 days. But in this case, the work that's performed, we'd have to either dispute the work or pay for the work that's been done. Most of the money was being in the actual marketing and buying the media buys. If I remember correctly, half of that money was in the marketing, buying the actual media buys with the advertisement companies. So we'd have to go back and look at that.
But I mean, when I look at the contract, the termination clause is after it's whenever the court decides. So what you're saying is that we have to pay for the 30 days.
We have to pay for the work. Go ahead. We have to pay for the work that actually completed that was inside the original scope, right? And they've provided some level of work to Dallas County, and HHS will determine how much work was provided to this point. But a lot of that money was going to go actually into media buys.
Okay. So there's nothing that's been done today that is binding us to pay them $500,000 without having the time to spend the money, right? Because that money's going to go into them anyway. It's going to the media companies where we buy the thing, right? Mr. or Judge Roden, what is there anything that we're doing to prejudice ourselves today? Or are we good?
Well, first of all, I agree with Mr. Frosch that to the extent it's something that has been incurred, you need to pay. Now, as far as what jeopardized you or not, I would say that I would discuss that with you in executive session because that would be attorney-client privilege information. And the other thing is I would need to look at the contract because what was on the agenda today was the amendment. It didn't have the original contract. I can pull that up. But to discuss with you the ramifications of that, I would do so in executive session.
Okay. Well, can I suggest to someone who is on the prevailing side of that we take that back up and go into closed session and then come back out and vote on it?
Well, if you want to do that under your standing practices, that would be a motion to reconsider because it's still in the same session, and that motion to reconsider would have to be brought by one of the.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think we're okay as far as our money exposure. I think what we've done is set the tone that we don't want them to do marketing for us. But I just want to make sure. So if the prevailing side is concerned about that $500,000 and wants to make the motion, and if not, we can just go on and see what happens.
I can discuss with you in executive session, and then if somebody from the prevailing party wants to do that, that would be.
The turn around a little.
Okay. So since it's on our agenda, we don't have to do anything right now. We can go discuss it in executive, and if there's any need to do something different or read something to the record, we can do it after. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, our notice clearly sets forth that if there is any issue that comes up that requires attorney-client discussions, we can and will take it into executive session. Our notice does provide that. Okay,
and even though it's already been voted on, we can do that, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. And that takes us to, let me see what that takes us to.
Executive.
Yeah, take us to executive. Wait, no, I've got some speakers.
Judge, real quick, this is Darrell speaking. Before we go, I missed this. I'm having connection issues at my house. But under Health and Human Services, on the miscellaneous brief, you had one item there that was to pay exempt employees overtime for the vaccination efforts. The date on that has to be changed to February 16th, 2021. It's December 23rd, date 2020 now, but the auditor and PA's office recommend that we move that date to February 16th, 2021.
February 19th. today.
February 19th, I'm sorry. 16 was the original date. February 19th, I'm sorry.
Okay, take a vote on that, or is that just read into the record?
It's just a correction for the record, Judge.
All right. Our first public speaker, or our next public speaker, since we've had some, is Tony Jones. Tony Jones. By the way, public speakers, if you're having trouble getting unmuted, as long as we see you at some point in this, we're going to come back to you.
Actually, if the public speakers, if you hear your name called and you're still having trouble, go to the chat room and chat that you're here so that we can see you and let you in.
Chat room is the smiley face down here, I think. No, I don't know.
It looks like a speaker, and it says chat right next to it.
Oh, yeah, okay. It's over there in the corner, and in the left-hand corner of the screen. Okay, so our next speaker is Marcus Lynn Turner Jr. Marcus Lynn Turner Jr. Mr. Marcus Lynn Turner Jr. Next speaker. Whoop, there you go. Our next speaker is Miss Sandra Crenshaw. Sandra Crenshaw.
No, Sandra Crenshaw.
Our next speaker is Mr. Rico Dukes. Mr. Rico Dukes.
No Rico Dukes.
All right. That's it. All right. Well, we're now going to adjourn for our closed session to consider matters under Chapter 551 of the Government Code. Any action as a result of the closed session will take place in the subsequent open session. We'll begin our closed session in approximately 5 minutes.
Do we have a judge? Are we going at another link, or what is the procedure?
The procedure is we're going to close everyone out of this meeting except the 5 of you, Cheryl Brown, myself, Jonathan, Gordon, and Russell. And that's why we need about 5 minutes or so. We'll reconvene back here. I think we don't have a lot in closed session, so I'll say we'll come back at about 6:45, and that's when our clerk will start letting people back in so that we can adjourn.
So I don't have to leave this meeting, Mr. Martin?
No, you don't have to leave this meeting at all. You can leave. You can actually put yourselves on mute if you like, and turn off your camera for now until we're ready to come back on, and then we'll come back on. Give me till 6:15. I have 6:07 now. Give us till 6:15, okay?
Yeah, because you said 6:45. Hell.
Yes, 6:45 is when we'll reconvene. We'll come out of the executive session. We don't have that much on the executive session, so we should come back out at 6:45 and close the meeting. But at 6:15, we'll come back.
Okay.
All right, and Daryl, we do all have to get off and get back on. Is that right?
You do not. You do not.
Okay.
Okay. You're live now?
Hold on.
Thank you, everyone. Took a little longer than we thought, but no action necessary as per the closed session. The court stands adjourned at 7:12 p.m. Everybody stay safe. Remember, tomorrow is a black ice day in the morning, so use extra caution. God bless you.
And white ice.
If you like invisible ice, that's fine. But be advised to be very careful when you're driving.
Yeah, okay.